It's only entertainment.
Welcome back to the Green Rush, the business of cannabis. We are a 2-hour weekly live cannabis business talk show produced by Pro Cannabis Media, broadcasting every Friday from 4 to 6. We discuss news issues in the cannabis market, and each week we conduct a deep dive into specific topics of the industry. I'm Rick Thompson with Josh Kincaid, and this week's theme is athletes in cannabis. We've enjoyed Anna Simons, we've enjoyed Darren McCarty, and now we are ready for our last guest, Lofa Tatupu. Welcome to the program.
Fellas, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And could you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and your history with cannabis?
Yeah, Lofa Tatupu, to our second generation NFL. My dad played 14 years in the National Football League. I played 6. Would have been longer, but shortened by injuries, as is the case with a lot of us. Yeah, I got into the cannabis industry 2014, really on, as an investment and in the real estate side. It ended up taking over operations with my partner and developing the brand 1937 Farms in the I-502 legal recreational cannabis industry. And so some expertise in brand and bringing that to life, as well as operations, and then spun off and created, because of the impact that, not just cannabis, but also hemp and CBD, hemp-derived CBD has how it's put me back together, mind, body, and soul, which I think that's a common thread you'll hear from a lot of athletes, and all the trauma that we've, experienced is it's pulled us out of that and made us whole again. And it's incredible what the plant is done for us and is doing for so many others. And so, that's, so to speak, my background. And from that, I spawned ZoneIn CBD, which is, our other business. And so that's this. We're now in our third year of business and changing lives, daily there too.
Excellent. Josh, go ahead.
Yeah, time flies, man. 3 years since you've launched ZoneIn. That's pretty crazy. Pandemic, did you find that more people were going after CBD, or was it more of a THC world during that? Because it's the anxiety and everything else during that was pretty crazy. No one really wanted to smoke because they thought that would get them, that inhalables would be worse for COVID. What was your launching in a pandemic is crazy. When you look at like Heinz steak sauce, they launched during the Civil War. Like, who says, hey, that's a great idea, we need steak sauce right now? That wasn't necessarily your path. You did it before, but when you get hit with that, how do you continue to pivot to endure all of that? How was that process over the last 3 years?
Yeah, it's challenging, right? I mean, any business is, and especially when you're faced with, coming to life in a new industry, one that we're still in the infant years. And you're right. I think THC will probably always be king. Everybody loves THC. Even the people that they don't outwardly express or share it, let it be known. Everybody loves THC, and I think it is for everybody in the right dosage. But yeah, we launched really at the beginning of 19. So well before, almost like 10 months before, it was, COVID-19 became a thing and happened, and then 2020, and like you said, just in a blink of an eye, like a whole year, 2 years goes by, right? And it's been 3 that we've been in this business, but and it's been a wild ride, but it's been great. And I think really the pivot, really just we had to, no pun intended, zone in on e-commerce rather than attacking the retail, which was, I think, really where a lot of people got hurt, was that launched during the pandemic was they went straight to the retail. Well, getting onto the shelves just half the battle. You got to get off that shelf too. And so I think having the right customer journey, through email marketing and everything else and social media, and just hitting on the right messages on what it can do for you and what it is. I think a lot of things, people are they're curious, right? They're like, oh, what is it? And so cutting through the noise, because of course there's some bad players out there, some people I think there was a research done by, one of the main television broadcasts out here. They pulled a bunch of products off of a retail shop and they tested them, with one of the big testing agencies out here. And it was like 70% of them didn't have the amount of CBD, and some didn't have any CBD in their products. And so, people are trusting you with their health. This isn't like a t-shirt or something else where, you might be able to, with a big brand, you might be able to get away without quality, but this is supposed to change lives, as it has for me. And so we, on top of third-party testing, we even take the raw and go and test it again on our own to make sure of the quality that's in our bottles. And so in a long way there, it's been a crazy year or two, and navigating the challenges of COVID, but just still impacting lives, and not a day goes by that I don't get like an email or a message of someone saying that, hey, I took it for this, I took it for, pain relief, and it did this for me, and I know it's anecdotal, but it's curing another condition that they didn't know that it would do. So, I mean, it's incredible. And there's a lot of ways to go before we can definitively tell them everything that it does for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you're eating the food that you're cooking too. So this is a product that you're passionate about because you're using it, and it could have maybe extended your career. You're with the Seattle Seahawks. You were a brutal linebacker for the 2005 to 2012 season. You don't look it, but you're shorter than I thought you would be. But you're a wide dude. Like, I don't know how you move the way you do. Like, it's not like Refrigerator Perry. Like, it's not like that. But you're a wide guy. You're a big dude. So I would imagine you got in a way because you're like in everybody's way, and you got beat up a lot. You had a torn pec, I think was the final straw, and that kind of destroyed that pretty much ended your career. Had you used CBD though, do you think you could have bounced back from that?
Oh man, I would have got so many. I'm 39 right now. I'm doing things that I couldn't do when I was 29. And because of because it acts on our cells, right? Not just talking about CB1 and CB2, but just the response that my mind and body have. They are so connected, so in sync, that I feel on a different level, a more aware, more zoned in, more heightened awareness of what's going on inside my body as opposed to just what was outside. Even like, and I'd argue that the pec, while it was my last surgery or injury. I had 10 over 7 years. I had 15 plus concussions. I argue that the last concussion I suffered a year prior, I still hadn't fully recovered from, and I argue that my mind muscle connection was so thrown off that when I strained it, I could have still played through it had I had the CBD. I could have played through and not torn the pec all the way. A full rupture is what I suffered. I tore both of them. The other one I tore in 2009 in a game, and that sat me out for the rest of that season. It was crazy, but we, as on your podcast before, Josh, we spoke. I feel like it has made me a better athlete at 39 years old than I was at the prime of my career when I was going to the Pro Bowl and I was an all-pro middle linebacker. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's power, man.
So right now the NFL is actually starting to look into it because they wouldn't allow for THC. CBD is helping a lot, but do you think that more people are using, because there's a lot of people who are using it and trying not to get busted and tested. Is the NFL as a league finally starting to loosen their grip on that with this new research that they're doing? Can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, I haven't gotten the full details of it. I know they set aside $1 million for research, but I haven't found out where that actual money is going to, like what to research. I did hear from a friend that it was actually going towards like research for rugby players, which I'm like, I know there's some similarities there, but it should probably be on either your former players or current players. That's what I would hope. But yeah, man, it's tough in THC. Absolutely, there's guys using it, and NFL they have the testing protocol, right? It starts on 420. That's a very obvious, time to start your testing protocol.
That's funny.
And if you don't get selected, then it kicks the can down. You're going to get tested. So it's essentially back open, the window's open, and you'll get tested. You're definitely going to get tested on the 1st August or whatever you get to camp. And so it's, the NFL, I do appreciate at least them letting you know when the testing's going to be. So I think, they're really trying to catch anybody with a problem. But here's the thing. I don't know anybody that smokes or uses cannabis regularly that's a high achiever like that really has a problem with cannabis. It's the other things that are a problem, and I'm talking even alcohol, not even just the stuff that's illegal, the opioids and the other drugs, but alcohol. So it's just odd that, there would be such a firm stance on cannabis. And I know it's still not fully legal everywhere, and I'm hoping that's the only thing that's holding them back. But, we've seen other leagues, take a more aggressive stance on safety for their players.
Mm-hmm.
We've had other guests today talk about CBN and CBG, some of the other cannabinoids. Have you tried to integrate any of those into your personal treatment program? And is there any plan for you to launch something like that commercially?
Yeah, we so CBN from and we work with doctors and specialists in the formulation to further the education of this stuff. So, but yeah, as far as CBN, there's some trace amounts of CBN in some of our products, and CBG I have not seen show up as a minor on most of our products, but we did add it as an isolate on top into our muscle rub for pain cream, and it's been very effective. And I think it's kind of like CBD isolate. It's good, but it's got limited benefits. It's all the synergistic effects of all of them working together of where you're going to get the most, complete treatment. And but as more information comes to light, and as the scientists and the doctors that we work with, mention or say, hey, this is what's been proven to be effective. I, of course, am the guinea pig. And every product that we've released, we've only got four products, I think. And every one I had to test for 3 to 6 months, by itself. It's all right, I'm not going to take anything but this to make sure of the effectiveness. And, because like I said, when it's in your system and the reaction it's had for me, I feel on a completely different level, even just from the food I put into my body these days. It's insane how receptive or non-receptive my body is. It's your body will speak to you if you listen to it. For so long without CBD, I couldn't hear it. I couldn't, and of course the brain injuries, the concussions didn't help.
Mm-hmm. Is anybody using it to wean off of smoking? Because I noticed when I did Sober October, I used ZoneIn for that whole month. And I was surprised. I didn't think about smoking cannabis hardly at all. It was kind of shocking.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I guess not completely kill the appetite, but curb it a little. And I noticed for me, something I never thought I would get rid of. I chewed tobacco from the time I was 16 until I was 35. And, I thought I tried so many times to get off of it and stop. Almost in unison with taking CBD, I noticed that the edge or the stress was not there to crave it. And, and oftentimes those things, they always cause more stress. I noticed after I had a chew, I would be more tense in my shoulders and my jaw and my body. And I realized I was overstressing myself, but there's a lot of my friends who have not just there's stories of opioid, getting off of opiates, getting off of sleep meds. In fact, I don't use sleep meds. I did most of my career. That was something that to get the proper rest, and it's replaced all that on top of Tylenol, aspirin, and all the other anti-inflammatories that were often given to us.
What about a protocol in the NFL to utilize CBD to wean the NFL, like wean people off of fame? I would imagine that when you have like this, you're in a crowd of 60,000 people, and that kind of adrenaline comes with its own drug. And when you no longer have that platform, I would imagine depression and other things can set in. Do you think that it would be a decent protocol to incorporate CBD to kind of get over that and have some kind of a group to help, transition through that process?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something in the works. I can't really talk too much about it, but, wellness clinics down the road is something that I'm working, very hard on with my group. And, it would be kind of a decompression where it's like a protocol. Okay, it's over. You go here, and now, it's a safe place where, you're going to hear stories from former players, other guys that are going through the stuff you're going through, and you could just kind of figure out or make some peace with anything that you're going through. And because for the longest, especially in our profession of football, no one wanted to talk about it. Like, right? I'm gonna, deny it. It's just stay in denial the whole time. So I think it's very important. And, it is a drug, man, that adrenaline rush. You're not going to get that anywhere else. I'll tell you right now. And I tell all the guys when I was coaching, I was like, hey, soak it up, because when it's over, it's over. And I would say my personal story wasn't so much tied to an identity crisis but the depression and, anxiety and all the stuff that I left the game with was more so from, not knowing what was going on in my body and mind from all the surgeries, the concussions. And I wish, luckily I say, it was here before me. CBD found me. And I think everybody finds it, cannabis and hemp found me. And I think everybody finds it when they need to, when it's right for them. And, I'm grateful that it did, because it made me whole, man. It made me the best version. I think that's what life's all about, is everybody trying to become the best version of themselves. Right. And that's what it's really done for me. And it's been doing for so many other people. And so I'm just here to try to be a messenger and a soundboard and just keep singing his praises, as many times as I can.
Power and celebrity can be very, very intoxicating drugs that may be very difficult to get off of, right?
Yeah. And then, but I think it's gonna take some high achieving, no pun intended, but business people to come forward and really be an advocate for the world to take it serious, because the celebrity or the sports figures, that's great, they're famous, they got attention, but when someone, a high-ranking official that's just kicking ass, and someone that's in a position of power that's just dominating life, and when they come forward and an advocate for it, I think then some real heads would turn.
Elon Musk smoking online or smoking on television wasn't good enough, though, right? I mean,
did he know he was smoking? That's where I get confused, because it seemed like he was confused as to what he was smoking.
Yeah, I thought so too. It seemed more like a staged incident than anything else. But we do have some very famous, Carl Sagan, some of the folks that have been really at the top of their worlds that have been confirmed cannabis users and really supported that for a long time. But, the war on drugs makes people deny. They deny things that they see right in front of their own eyes. They deny their own bodily experience when they have those things. How difficult is it talking to people who haven't experienced cannabis yet and trying to convince them to give these type of medicines a try?
I think the biggest thing is, rather than, trying to force it on anybody, just show them that you're living your best life. I mean, lead by example. And then when they're curious, that's when they start asking questions. And then you still don't force it on them. You say, this is what it's done for me, and I think that's the biggest thing about the hemp derived and just the CBD play. I believe it's the bridge to everybody taking a harder look at cannabis as a solution. And even you said it, war on drugs. And you brought up Anna, my good friend. She has the coolest Instagram handle of all time. It's called Exit Drug. because yeah, isn't that cool? So
It is cool.
everybody,
That's great.
we're all brought up told that, oh, hey, cannabis is the gateway drug. Bullshit, man. Oh, can I swear?
You can.
Okay. That's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. And in fact, this is the plant that's going to save us all. And I just thought, I even told when I met her, I was like, oh, that is the coolest handle, or nickname ever. Because it is. It's been, there's so many anecdotally, right? But stories that I have of people with whether it's addiction, alcohol, or opiates, or sleep meds, myself, and other stuff. There are so many that have said, hey, I turned to cannabis and I don't take that anymore. It's so cool for her to just even spin the narrative of a gateway drug to an exit drug. I just thought that was one of the dopest things I ever seen.
It's funny because when I got interviewed for Reader's Digest about this basis space. I think I told you about this a couple of years ago, Lofa. When people responded to me, a lot of older folks that still read Reader's Digest, who would ask me about, well, what CBD did you use? And I would tell them, this transdermal patch or whatever, but you might want to look at the entourage effect. And I would mention, THC, and then never heard from them again. So it's challenging. Anytime you have to educate and then sell a product, that's one thing. But even if you're just focused on educating, it's hard to get through. So using CBD as kind of the gateway into, dropping seeds literally and just let them form and develop and grow on their own. It's kind of just what you have to do sometimes.
But okay, now I'm just going to venture to guess that the Reader's Digest demographic is a little bit older than us, fellas.
Yeah.
So in their lifetime, hell, in my lifetime, I didn't think I'd see cannabis legalized. I didn't believe it. I didn't think it would happen. I mean, I'd hoped, but man, a lot of work is taking place to get to this point. And I think the fact that everyone's starting to see just how much good is coming from it, it's going to continue to go. But, so I always take that into account when I think about the older generations that, for the longest, it was so stigmatized, it was so vilified that, if you, and the stigma, you're a stoner, you unproductive, you're going to make the bad choices in life. Man, get out of here with that nonsense.
You've probably had to live with it for a while. I know I did. Did you have to deal with the dumb jock stereotype?
Hell yeah. And I had the dumb jock and the stoner stigma thrown my way in high school. I was like, wait a minute. So, it's just, but the labels, right? Again. And so it is what it is. But yeah, it was definitely, I had both of those because, I hung out with everybody. I didn't care. I just, whoever was cool, and by cool, I mean, they don't have, they have their shit figured out. They are happy and content with their existence and their being. And, I'm just like, I vibrate on that level, man. I dig it. Cool. Some people just, I think they're scared by it, people that were quick to use those labels and such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right now, you're dealing with two different kind of businesses. You have the 1937 farms in Washington under the 502 regulations, and then you have the legal CBD unit that is ZoneIn. That's got to be kind of frustrating because at one level, you can't really expand, scale, or get out of Washington with this farm unless you partner and do some genetics and. It's two totally different business models. How do you get your brain to sort of dissect and execute on that? Or do you just know that 1937 Farms is what it is? And I don't know. How do you deal with it?
Well, no, I think, several pioneers, the brand is everything in anything you do. And I think, you look at cookies, they're not, they're taking their brand everywhere, and it's not them just doing the heavy lifting, but they've done such a beautiful job with the brand that it resonates and it's moved everywhere, even internationally. And so while we are stuck to Washington as for the THC side of things, this is we're having fun. So it's a lifelong thing. It's a long picture, long view type of thing, and type of play. And we're just having fun with it and, helping watch people live better lives and we'll see what goes. But yeah, there's always, you can always do licenses deals, or license out the brand to another, where we could partner on several things to make their learning curve a lot easier, because I know it was a lot, man. Man, it's I mean, we're still learning every day in that industry. But and then yeah, obviously from ZoneIn, the CBD side of things, it's been a lot easier in terms of, we're not limited to a certain place, but also then, you could get a little distracted with trying to be everything to everybody, right? So, and I'm grateful for everybody that does try ZoneIn, that believes in it, and because it was really what we made it for was the demographic of athletes, and we believe as a company, that movement's our best medicine, and CBD is just there to help us recover. Now I know CBD and even cannabis is a great medicine, and but not everybody's willing to accept that, right? So if you just put the message out there that we want you to move for you, and then we'll help you recover, a lot of people have been receptive to that.
Now, we're almost finished with our segment. How can people find this wonderful products that you've been talking about today?
Yeah, e-commerce site at zoneincbd.com. And you can find me on Instagram. I'm still terrible at doing personal shout outs. Lofa _Tatupu. I'm mostly on Instagram. I got a Twitter too, but yeah. And it's I just want to say thank you guys for everything, for having me. Josh, always a pleasure, man, and I hope you guys stay blessed.
Likewise, man. Thank you.
Thanks for showing up today. We appreciate it. And thanks for being an advocate for the plant.
Appreciate it, Lofa.
All right, fellas, take care.
Well, that's it for today's broadcast for the Green Rush, the business of cannabis. I'm Rick Thompson, along with host Josh Kincaid. We hope you've enjoyed the time today. Thanks for being here. Have a great day.
Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.